Today in this meeting, we're actually going to be talking initially, at least, about customer acquisition. And so I guess relatedly, one really cool thing that I saw that I was hinting about earlier this week, let me share my screen just a moment. I was browsing Reddit and I went into the agency subreddit, which is actually a very interesting subreddit. I think you guys should check it out if you haven't. But I saw this guy here talking about how he scaled his agency to 50K monthly recurring revenue on the back of like simple TikTok videos. And like 50K is a ton, right, for a newer agency. He's been around for a few years. But I then went to his TikTok because I was curious, right? Like, what is he actually posting? Is it simple content? And so I went to his TikTok and he's literally just posting face videos, kind of similar to some of the Instagram content that I do. And you can see here, he's just got a title that he does here so that you can see what the video is about. And then he just probably kind of rants about various things and topics that he knows about. But the key here is that people on TikTok and TikTok's algorithm is so good that people who are a potential customers of his agency, and because he's talking about things that these customers are interested in, simple things, what is a competitive advantage, keeping contractors happy, time tracking for client work, leads is a huge one. He's just making these videos, and he was doing at one point, I think 6 videos a day, which is crazy.
Holy,
Yeah, but this is how he scaled his agency.
wow.
And I think it's really cool. These are very simple videos to do. And Ross is actually the one who kind of got me into posting videos right before I had ever met Ross. I was not posting videos. I was too worried, thinking it had to be too polished. But this proves the idea that even with a small amount of views here, I mean, look at this. You can still, over time, generate an audience. And because it's so niche and so focused, even though it's a small amount of views he's still getting clients for that. And then that allows time for your own word of mouth marketing to kind of kick in. So I thought this was really cool. Ross, anything you want to say about this since you're the one with the most experience with this type of approach?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good example of what most, I would say 90% of people would see in terms of engagement on content when starting out, even or even being consistent like this. It's very discouraging when you are posting videos constantly every single day and you're quote unquote only getting 100 or 200 views per video. I've been in that, like, a lot of people call it like TikTok jail, or or engagement jail. And the way to get out of it is doing the hard work, which is posting consistently. And I think if you go back to the that Reddit post, like one of the
Yep.
main things on that he says is the first one, consistently posting, but also frequently posting. The way the TikTok algorithm really works is it is a fully democratized algorithm to all accounts. So, whereas Instagram heavily favors accounts that have an existing following, on TikTok it's the exact opposite. If you are just starting out, you have a equal chance, quote unquote, an equal chance to go viral as long as your video is good or engaging. So TikTok is a great way to get started, and that's actually where I originally a got a larger audience on TikTok first, and then I started posting on Instagram, and then Instagram took that and ran with it basically. And that's how I grew my following on Instagram. But can you go back to the TikTok? I want
Yeah.
on the top right hand corner on the top of the page, I think you can sort by popular. Be curious just to
Okay.
see what his most popular video is.
Wow,
So
look at that.
there you go. So I would guess that the majority of his content is coming from, or the majority of the action that he's getting, where we can see he has 100,000 likes. A lot of that probably came from that video. But the the main thing is just keep posting. Even if you're in 200 view jail, this is a great example of that. Like, just keep posting. And
Yeah.
it's so difficult it's so easy to say, but in reality, it's so incredibly difficult to do. And I've struggled with it. I know so many other creators that have struggled with it, but keeping consistent is one of the best free ways that you can get eyeballs on your stuff, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And one tool that I highly recommend, Ross uses it, I use it like crazy. It's Descript, and it makes it incredibly easy to, you can do almost you can do it. I do everything for the videos I do inside Descript. I just, record it on the iPhone in the car. Lately I've been doing, and then upload it into Descript. It shows you a transcript where you can easily edit things. And then you can add titles like this. You can add captions, and then you just export it and you're good to go and distribute it on both Instagram, TikTok, whatever else, Twitter, even LinkedIn now supports video content.
Yeah. I guess just by like a show of hands or maybe in the chat or maybe like responding with emoji or something, like is anybody actively creating content right now? Don't everyone speak up at the same time?
We got one thumbs down.
No. Well, that's actually
Posted.
a good segue into some of the information that I have to share today, where creating content and focusing on organic is a great way to get more clients, but it might not always be the easiest way to get your first client. And so that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about today. And I actually have a graph. And this mind map will be available to all of you guys. This is also inside the Notion resources that we send out to everyone for free when they sign up. But I'll put a link in the chat here as well. There's a lot of information here, and there's a lot of different ways to go about this, but I really want to just focus in on how to get your first client. And I was talking with one of my sales buddies yesterday, Justin, and he was talking about how the absolute easiest way to get your first client is to review your existing network. We are all humans and we all know people and engage in the world. And the easiest way to basically sell somebody on basically anything is to go to someone who already knows who you are. If you don't have to convince them of, who you are and what it is that you do, so to speak, it's much easier to have that initial conversation and be able to pitch your service or whatever you're going to promote. Obviously, we're all talking about how to sell AI agents to people. So, for example, Justin was saying how he would just walk into a restaurant or a store, and this is back when he was in New York, I believe. But he would walk into a store and start a conversation with somebody and ask them about how they are getting clients and how their business is being run and how an AI agent could help improve or save money for that business. And within, I think it was like 3 or 5 like sandwich shops slash restaurants slash, boutique stores, he was able to close his first client with a AI agent for their website that they were using to promote their menu. So like when somebody was searching for, best sandwiches or whatever, people would go to their website and look at the menu on the website. And the interesting part was the AI agent could engage with the user and help answer questions about pricing and options like, oh, is it gluten free or whatever it may be. But the cool kind of twist to it was after it answered those questions, it would provide a coupon code or like a it's not a keyword, like a secret passphrase or something, where the users who engaged with the AI agent would receive this secret passphrase, and then when they walked into the store, they would say that secret passphrase to the person behind the counter, and then they would get like a free drink and chips along with their order. And that way, the business owner themselves knew that there was a direct attribution to the AI agent on the website because that was the only place that deal or offer was positioned. And so this was a very interesting kind of like circular use case where he went in cold and sold them on this solution. And within a few days, the business was able to see that it was actually working for them. And that's a very granular general example, but the concepts of this can be extracted to any industry or any niche. Every business owner that we've talked to is so focused on how they can expand and grow their business, not necessarily how do I use AI or how do I build a website or run a marketing funnel. It's all about just what they're doing, their core business. So, as agency owners, if we're able to go in and help this business owner associate a value, a tangible value with what you're trying to sell them, whether that be generating money or saving money, they'll be able to see and feel the results of that pretty quickly. So, network Who do you know? What shops are you shopping at? Your LinkedIn network. That's another one that we've seen some other agencies be crazy successful with by just posting on LinkedIn. And now that LinkedIn has their own video algorithm and feed, you can actually cross post your TikTok videos to LinkedIn, and the algorithm is heavily favoring video content on LinkedIn right now. That being said, the other options that are available to us, obviously, are organic content, which we just mentioned, but cold calling and cold emailing is always going to be those options that are available to us, even though they might be ones that are maybe a bit more scary if you've never done cold calling or cold emailing before. We don't necessarily recommend you start with these first until you've actually talked with at least one person. After you've talked with a couple people, you'll start to realize that the questions that people are asking are pretty basic and generic. And I know, Drew, if I can tap you in, you can tell the story about
Yep.
the business owners that you were engaging with this morning.
Unmute.
If not, I can give the recap.
Why don't you give the recap, Ross, and then if he jumps on and unmutes, he can kind of take over.
Yeah, so basically Drew was saying this morning how he was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting for AI in Miami and the local district or whatever. And a lot of business showed up from plumbers to restaurants to real estate agents, you name it. And he was telling us this morning how so many of the questions that these business owners are asking are so basic compared to some of the information that we might have collectively talked about in the past, or we put in our content or our documentation in our stuff, basically. We're, as everyone here, I would assume we're all kind of AI nerds, the fact that we're even on this call. So the things that we're thinking about are probably more advanced than what a business owner who has maybe not even had their own AI aha moment yet would even think of. So the questions that these business owners are asking is like, can it speak in another language? Can I upload data so it knows information about my business? And to us, that might seem elementary, but that is some of the core functionality that these business owners are actually care about. And like we said, like they don't care how it works. They just want to know that it will work or that it can do certain things. So relating that back to generating and creating your first client, when you walk in the door or you have that first meeting or first conversation with your client or a potential client, instead of being like, oh, we can do this and this and this, start out as a much simpler example or a simpler offer that can associate this AI aha moment for their business. One of the ways that we've implemented that inside of our own platform is the ability to create an AI agent, obviously, and upload information about a business and create a share link that allows you to show a business owner live what you've built for them without having to sell them or have them sign up or do anything. And that's actually what Justin did. He had the share link pulled up on his phone. And so he could show the business owner live, hey, this is how this stuff works because this is how it's built. And here's what we can, here's how we can integrate it into your life, into your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we can do one of two things here. We can open it up to questions now related to what everything we just said, or if anyone wants to share, what's working for you, anything at all, any questions.
If not, I can show. So this is a very basic version of a funnel that people can use. And I hesitate to even show this because one of the things that I've seen a lot, and this comes across in content creation, it comes across in the agency life, it come in a lot of different places, is there's work that we can do that generates revenue, but there's also work that we can do that sets us up to generate revenue. And it's a very fine line between doing something that is actually going to move the needle versus something that makes us feel like we're doing work or moving the needle when in reality it's not actually generating revenue or pushing the envelope further. Within the context of content creation, this manifests as oh, I can't make videos because I don't have a good camera. Or, oh, I don't want to post this video because my lighting is wrong. And so a lot of people will spend a lot of time being like, oh, I need to get the perfect camera setup or the perfect lighting or whatever. When in reality, as we saw with that guy that Tim shared, if you just keep posting organically and consistently again and again, that outweighs your quote unquote bad lighting. And this is something that I've struggled with for many years because I'm always, and it's the what's that quote? The perfect is
Perfect is the enemy of good enough.
exactly. And when we're trying to get your first client or scale to maybe 10 clients, it's more about closing those deals and getting that, doing the work that's actually going to move the needle. And then you can focus on building out infrastructure and things like that. When it comes to the context of running an agency and starting a business, this manifests its way in, oh, I need to create an LLC before I've made a dollar, or I need to get a CPA before I've done anything. And in this example that I'm showing here, it's like, oh, I need to build a website and a full funnel before I've done anything. And in reality, yes, these things are needed and they are valuable. But again, when we're talking within the context of just getting started and getting your first client, it's more about how many people are you actually talking to and getting the questions answered. So that way you can then build this stuff using that information. So that way you're not having to answer those questions over and over and people get that information immediately from the stuff that you've built.
Ross, can I say something?
Yes, please. Welcome. Thanks for
This is
joining.
Martin from the Netherlands. Thank you for organizing this accelerator.
Of course.
I'm started with your product. I didn't have any clients. I just like the idea. I found it on a forum. I think somebody mentioned you guys, and it was so easy. I'm not a developer. I'm not a tech person at all, but it was so easy for me to get started with it. I was just so excited. I was like, I'm going to build a business around this.
Awesome.
And I want to reiterate your point and what I see. I do a little bit of AI ChatGPT consulting. That the gap in knowledge between sort of the average man and us is huge. It's getting bigger by the day.
Yep.
And we tend to overestimate what people know. And I'm a little scared about when you talk of speaking about connecting Stammer to other platforms. For me, it's a little bit too much. But just a simple chatbot already is a great product and it's something you can sell easily. And I think the fact that you guys are doing this accelerator now is good because I think there's a lot of your users who are not that tech, who are not who will never get to the SaaS platform subscription type, but who are able and willing and wanting to sell the simple chatbots to their clients. So do not forget the more simple users and keep building features for us and keep adding.
Definitely. Yes. Yes. Thank you for sharing. And that's one of the main reasons why we started with the chatbot is because, and for everyone that is not aware, I used to run a website development agency. And when ChatGPT came out, a few of my website clients were like, hey, how do we integrate this AI thing into our websites? The main reason those people were asking those questions is because they had existing chatbots that were built, if someone asks this, then it answers this. And it's like these massive trees of static questions and answers. And those people who had already done that work of building that out quickly saw how AI could automate that entire process without them having to upload 100 QAs or question and answers at a single time. That's how the most successful agencies on our platform and in general that I've seen with AI are essentially replacing that offer with something that these business owners are already semi-familiar with. So it's not actually a fully new thing or a new technology. It's just replacing the old version or the old way of doing it essentially with the new hype version.
Yeah, I just had a client who actually he called me. I had a test. I created a test chatbot for him, like what you just showed. Like, hey, look what we can do, and they actually decided against it because they were on HubSpot, and HubSpot has its own native chat application. And I explained to them, it's like, dude, this is not good. I looked at it, it's like, this is not going to do what you want it to do, but go ahead. They're like, okay, thank you, bye. On Tuesday, he calls me, he's like, you know what? I should have listened to you because it's just not doing what I wanted it to do. Can we please continue with your bot? It's like, sure,
Love it.
no problem. But so even people who think they have a good chatbot, they still don't know what's out there, what we have. So
That is a very consistent message that we've heard from a lot of agencies that have attempted, or businesses that have attempted to use other platforms that were not AI first. And I
Yeah.
mean, every single company in the world in the last 24 months has attached AI to their products in some shape or form. And from our testing and feedback, like you just mentioned, it's not only not as good, but like we've mentioned in previous calls and earlier in this call, the business owner doesn't want to know how, like, they don't want to learn how to manage that thing themselves. They want to go to you as the quote unquote AI expert of, oh, this is how this stuff works. This is what it can be. This is how it can be built and implemented in my business for what I want it to do, actually. And that is almost what people are paying for. They're that peace of mind of, oh, it's actually
yeah.
going to do what I expect it to do. And I don't have
Well,
to worry.
that's my angle. I tell them I'm a certified prompt engineer, which I am.
There you
I can,
go.
I can make your bot work. You can get it like a cheap bot anywhere for like $25 a month, but it's
Hmm.
not going to do what you want it to do.
Exactly.
I can get a bot. I can get you a bot that works. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that's my advice to everybody out there. Just use your prompt engineering skills and sell them with the chatbots.
That is
That's great advice.
yeah, that is going to be the skills that set everyone apart in today, tomorrow, 10 years from now. It's how
Yeah.
well can you engage with these models, basically.
Yeah.
Lim says, is there a way to help the client on getting more of their clients using the bot? Is there a way to help the client on getting more of their client? Oh, okay. So like, yeah, so like, for example, if a chatbot's on a website, how do we encourage users to engage with that chatbot? There's a couple ways that we've built things into our platform that pop up to the user, or those like pop-up messages, whether or not it's just the message that tries to get people to click on the chat bot, or if it's the entire chat window that pops up after a certain amount of time on website load. Those are two of the main ways to get people to use it without hindering their usage of the website. Because we don't want to interrupt them potentially purchasing a product from a website.
Right. And one thing I do want to say, it's actually an opportunity, because the biggest reason that people are not interacting with the chatbots on a website is not necessarily because they can't find the chatbot. Everyone knows that chatbots are in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. The primary problem is traffic. And so that is an opportunity for you to sell them other services that will get them traffic on their page. Google Ads, SEO, all kinds of things that can generate traffic. And so it's a real opportunity there if the customer is complaining about them not interacting.
Yeah. So just to keep going on Lim's message here, Lim says, take the F&B case earlier. Is that more of a digital marketing problem than it is a tech issue? Kind of. Yeah, basically what Tim just said. If a website doesn't have traffic, then obviously there's going to be not that much usage. So the benefit of having an existing website or an existing marketing funnel in place so that there is traffic to engage with that is not a requirement, but it obviously does make the product more usable, or more, it goes further, I guess. One of the questions I face is, how does the chatbot help increasing the traffic? Yeah. And yeah, so like you say, in a bundle in a way. And that's going back to some of the most successful agencies on our platform. People have started to use quote unquote simple AI chatbots that replace existing infrastructure, like an existing intercom bot or something like that. They're using this as their way to get their foot in the door with these business clients. And this is where high value agencies are separated from the rest basically, is they're not stopping at the AI agent. They're going and offering a lot of other things that are semi related to that within the context of traffic generation, like Tim just mentioned, or potentially going the other route of, hey, your website is terrible. we can, rebuild that. And a quick note on that is we've had feedback from agencies that when they scrape a client's website and the client says, "Hey, it's not responding correctly. Like, what's going on? Like, it's giving me wrong information." We can use some of the features inside the platform, like debug mode, and we can see exactly where the answers are getting created from. And what happened was the data that was fed into the AI agent was actually incorrect. It was pulling in blog posts from 10 years ago that had, oh, this person was the CEO or the COO at that time, but they're no longer with the company. So that's why it was giving wrong information, is because the data going into the AI agent was incorrect. And the only way that they found out about that is because the AI agent scraped their entire website, found that issue, and the agency was able to then flip and turn that around into an upsell offer that said, "Hey, we'll clean up your website and clean up the data that is going in." So that way, good data going out or good data going in is good answers and data going out. So
Exactly.
lots of good stuff there. But yeah, like Tim mentioned, we do have to go to the daily support call. If there's any other questions, I can stay on for a couple minutes. But yeah, this was a good one. Sorry, I keep yammering for 30 minutes, but I feel like it's a good opportunity to get some of this information out there.
It's great. Great.
Appreciate it. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Super helpful. Thanks for joining. Cool. All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
See you. Bye-bye.